Public Policy Summit was introduced to mentor contractors at the New York City School Construction Authority to allow them to gain a thorough understanding of existing and pending legislation and how policies may affect their businesses.
The challenges faced by women and minority-owned businesses today are, number one, access to capital.
The biggest issue is money. You can't survive if you're running a business or trying to run a business without sufficient financing. And having been working with MBEs for in excess of 30 years, the biggest thing I've found is the problem of not having enough money to fund and operate their businesses and keep going forward between the contracts that they receive.
Past performance is a key to winning contracts, and one of the ways to do that is through a mentor program, which the School Construction Authority has, and there are several other agencies within the city and state of New York that do have mentor programs.
The Public Policy Summit was designed to help contractors become more engaged, to actively participate in the political process in New York City, and it serves as an introduction to the city's elected officials and access to how government really works.
Well, public policy affects everything we do in life from the time we're born, because we have a birth certificate, till we die. And therefore, what's important is that if we want to change the law and to put teeth in it in order to make it an effective law, then you have to be engaged. You have to participate. You have to work within the system and not outside of the system. I can't stress enough the need to be involved to make changes to public policy. Politics is what dictated that there would be Social Security. It's politics that dictated that there would be a birth certificate. It was politics that said there will be a death certificate. So it's from birth to death and everything all in between.
Part of what I think Keith Wright probably said it the best today is public policy equals contracts.
Public policy equals contracts. I just can't put it any other way. Public policy equals contracts.
Public policy clearly impacts MWBE, because if you don't have a public policy of saying that that you want to ensure that the city of New York gives contracts to all and not just a few, then we're in trouble. Unless you're going to have someone pushing them to do that, it's not going to happen. So involvement is extremely important.
We, as business people, because that's my background is small business, has historically worked outside of the system. And therefore we're not engaged. We don't make changes to policy. Others do. But if you are engaged, if you participate with the electeds, if they know who you are, if you go to their clubs, then you will affect change in policy.
What impacts you and your business is local elections. It is so important for you to get involved in the organizations, get involved in the associations, because they have their hands in the local elections and they understand what the issues are.
About your legislator. When you know those things, you can talk public policy to them.
Certainly more interfacing and more interaction with government. Listen, just because you have a law in the books doesn't mean that it will be implemented. People have to be reminded. I remember the days when we couldn't drink from a certain water fountain, but it had to be legislated that we were allowed to drink at this water fountain. So the same is true for those folks in the MWBE community.
One way to be engaged is to join organizations, chambers of commerce, associations who have your interests, who have like-minded individuals already assembled in a group, who may already be working on legislation or on different avenues, who also have the relationships and bring the strength in numbers that gets respected when you're talking legislation and policy Another way to do it is to really keep your ear to the street and understand the changes that are affecting your community. And that's as simple as being able to access a public access TV channel, listening to city council hearings, understanding the laws that come out, and paying attention to the news.
You can make an impact. Look at New York's population. The contractors reflect its population.
I think that the program was very informative today. It's important for the firms to understand the policies that are in place on the city and the state level, and it's very important that they know who the elected officials are, so they'll know who to go to and how to deal with certain situations on their projects or in their contracts.
My name is Reverend Jacques-Andre de Graaf. I'm first Vice President of the 100 Black Men and Executive Member of the Minority Business Leadership Council. The MWBE programs are vital to the success and viability of our communities because they do two things. One, they help create wealth in our communities, and two, they create jobs in our communities. For individual entrepreneurs, it's critical to get involved in public policy. Why? Because public policy is where the decisions are made that affect our livelihoods and our future. Business is a competitive endeavor, and if we're going to be competitive and if we're going to hold our own in the marketplace, then we have to come with a new attitude, and Noble Strategies is helping to pioneer that.